And this is Detroit Today on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Craig Foley. Thank you very much for being with us today. We are recording this, actually not recording, we're broadcasting live today from the Detroit Science Center. Getting my terms confused today, not surprising. Anyway, we're at the Detroit Science Center, and my next guest has graciously joined us here at the Science Center today. And it is Julie Rosier, founder of the Story Owners Collective. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Welcome back to Detroit Today, I must
Thank you.
say. You were here in a different capacity last time, but today you're here to talk about your new show, The Red Thread. There are shows coming up on the 20th and 22nd. That's tonight and Saturday at 7:30 at the Marlene Bowl Theater at the Bowl Family YMCA on Broadway here in downtown Detroit. Welcome. And first of all, The Red Thread,
Yes.
the title. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know this goes back a long way.
Yes, it does. The red thread actually speaks to something of Chinese folklore, where they describe an invisible red thread that connects all human beings together. And they said that though it may stretch or tangle, this red thread will never break. And what happens, I find, is when we tell our stories, we begin to see this red thread emerge, or this connection that is hard to get to at times, and, you know, oftentimes invisible. But you see the real humanity between people. And so we're telling our own stories in this play, and the hope would be that this red thread starts to emerge for us to see and for the audience.
Well, you know, this has been being worked on for, what, 4 years now? Something along those lines?
It's been in the works, if only in my head.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so this is a sort of an all-encompassing theme you're trying to come up with here, so that
Yeah.
must make it difficult to narrow down sort of what you want to talk about in your individual pieces.
Definitely. And when we started in July, I held auditions in July, and out of that came the 4 dedicated artists that have been working on it since. But we, you know, it was so big in the beginning. How do you, okay, we're going to tell our life stories on stage, and you have about 15 minutes, go, you know, and we didn't know how it was going to work at the beginning, but what we started to see through writing was that we're going to tell a story of where we're at right now, or the story that we want to tell right now. It's not our life story. It's something that is meaningful and needs to be told in terms of where we are, and it's not necessarily 100% exactly reporting what happened. It's our perspective from where we are.
Well, and then again, you're trying to sort of tie it all together with this red thread,
Right.
and show how, I'm guessing, how we sort of interact and how we're all sort of interdependent.
Exactly, and I come from a social change background as well as an activist. Integrating the 2 parts of myself, the performing side with the social change component, was incredibly important to me. And I see that by showing how interconnected we are, that it will motivate people to connect with others across cultural or racial boundaries, and really see that we're humans underneath.
Well, tell me a little bit about the folks that are performing in this. You are one of
Yes.
the people in this, obviously,
Yeah.
but who else is working on this with you?
We have Peter Putnam, Kara Graninger, and Cian Yates, and each of them tells a fabulous story. Cian Yates actually chose to incorporate a fictional piece, selections from her one-woman show that highlight Detroit stories and have to do with her own story. And then she caps it off at the end with an autobiographical monologue that kind of shows why writing is so important to her and connects back to her being a playwright. And Peter Putnam tells the story of father and son, this kind of grand story, but he uses his father and his son as the touchstones to the parent-child relationship, larger theme. And then Kara Graninger has a very unique piece. She actually dances her story, and we read the narrative that she's written as a voiceover as she dances. And she's talking about family politics and a search for identity as a 7th grader, so a young child.
Understood. Our guest, once again, is Julie Rosier. She is the creator of the Story Owners Collective. They are presenting The Red Thread tonight and Saturday night, both nights at 7:30. Free performance, by the way.
Yes.
And my understanding is this has not been done in front of an audience yet.
It hasn't. We had 3 people at our dress rehearsal, so they gave us a little taste of what it's going to be like to have people in front of us. But no, this has been a very private, the 4 of us just working diligently, and we're very excited to be able to share the energy and the spirit of the show with a live audience.
Well, and that's going to be the test, obviously. You know, you've had a few people watch it. You know, there's a certain message that you're trying to get across here in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Is there any sort of tweaking that you might consider doing at some point if you don't think it's connecting the way that you think it should?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing an evolution from it's very different from the vision I had originally, what we have here for November. I plan to do this in multiple ways over and over with my life. I see it as a kind of life vision.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily expect everything to work right now. You know, this is where we're at. And I think that I welcome other people's input, or if people say, I could see this going in this direction, or that's why I'm excited to share it at this point.
Well, it is. The concept is sort of this never-ending, you know, unbreakable thread.
Yes.
So is this something that could just be consistently changed and done differently for a long time?
Yes, yeah, it's a form, I see. A new kind of form of what storytelling and theater could be. I think it's so important that we get at our own stories and kind of, my hope is that by reflecting, you can see patterns that you've created in your life, and it would give direction into the future. So that's the social change aspect. I think that a personal transformation can really happen when you take ownership for your story and see how it's going to move you with clarity into the future.
Again, our guest is Julie Rosier of the Story Owners Collective, The Red Thread, tonight and Saturday night at the Bull Family YMCA in the Marlene Bull Theater there. A very cool little venue. It's, again, open to the public and free of charge. How important was the free part? I mean, was that always part of it?
Well, we talked different, you know, we talked it through as a collective, and it's important to me because I want this to be a community performance. I see art making as a community development venture, and so I want anyone from the community to be able to come out, and that was important to all 4 of us. And as a side note, we've done this with no budget, and so it's also a display of, if you have an idea, you don't necessarily have to wait for money. You can ask people around you to support you, and there are spaces and people who will be excited about your idea, who will contribute. I mean, Y Arts Detroit, Jillian Eaton, who runs that, is donating the theater to us.
Then that's very cool.
Very cool. And, you know, you would think unheard of, but then you start to see that people open their hearts and their resources to you. So I'm very thankful for that, and I want to open our resources to the public.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Again, The Red Thread, tonight and Saturday night at 7:30. Julie Rosier, thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And this is Detroit Today on WDET, FM 101.9, Detroit Public